This president never accepts blame, never admits a mistake, and always blames someone else. And you know the scariest part? There was a real possibility that an innocent man could have been imprisoned just to avoid embarrassment for the president. Hello. Again, welcome to the Ruthless Truth. I am your host, Truth Davis. In this forum, I share opinions, thoughts, truths on a wide variety of topics based on what I consider to be a unique life experience. You can read the details in the notes or the bio or the profile. My intent is to share stories and experiences and hopefully provide some life and career lessons that will help you on your journey. Please follow me on Instagram at TruthDavis5. Subscribe to the YouTube channel Ruthless Truth. And there's also a Facebook page, Ruthless Truth. General format, I'll share some initial commentary on current news topics, just my thoughts, and then I'll pick one topic and go deeper, which will be today's truth. And then I like to finish with an American history fun fact. Okay, first thing. The long-awaited movie Spider-Man Brand New Day premiered last week and achieved the largest opening weekend in motion picture history. Domestically, the film generated $360 million in ticket revenue, just exceeding the $357 million for Avengers Endgame, which previously held the crown as the largest opening weekend ever. Now, these days, I never watch movie trailers because they give away too much of the movie. And I was there for the first showing at noon on Thursday because people love to post spoilers on social media, and I didn't want anybody to ruin it for me. And for the record, I rarely see movies at the theater. But come on, this was Spider-Man. Now, full disclosure, I have been a Spider-Man fan all my life. I still have my comic book collection from the 70s and the 80s, so I couldn't wait to see the movie. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. However, I cannot go as far as the many prisoners of the moment and say it was the best Spider-Man movie ever. Nope. It's probably the second or third best Spider-Man movie, although I totally agree that Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man actor. He is Spider-Man. I recommend seeing the movie, even if you're not into the superhero genre. It's just a good movie. I also recommend that you make every effort to first see the previous movie, Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, it's not a requirement, but you'll appreciate the current film more if you do. Okay, as you probably know, the restaurant industry has been dealing with headwinds and challenges for years. And it's not just casual dining restaurants like Applebee's or TGI Fridays, but fast food restaurants are having to offer discounts and promotions to attract customers who are rebelling against inflated prices. Wendy's is particularly struggling, leading to the closure of hundreds of locations. But there is one restaurant that is bucking this trend and delivering great results. It's Chili's. Chili's is in the midst of one of the greatest comebacks and business turnaround stories ever. They have achieved 20 consecutive quarters of same-store sales growth. That's 5 straight years of growing sales. And this year, Chili's passed Olive Garden to become the second largest fast casual restaurant in the United States, trailing only Texas Roadhouse. So how'd they do it? Well, first they implemented viral social media efforts targeting Gen Z and highlighting the Triple Dipper appetizer and Hot Maz, which are their fried mozzarella sticks. Second, they promote value, such as the 3 for Me value meal, where they position themselves as actually cheaper than a McDonald's, a quarter pounder value meal. And finally, They streamlined operations to increase efficiency and margins. I just love stories like this. I love to see businesses demonstrate that if you deliver a compelling message and product, people will buy it. And I'm speaking from experience here because I am a frequent Chili's customer. Okay, on to the latest in the never-ending saga of the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool. This was the president's much hyped project to beautify the pool prior to the 4th of July celebrations. Well, it's been a comedy of errors, with the pool first suffering from an algae bloom. Then, after pieces of the pool's new lining began to peel and float to the surface, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro claimed to have overwhelming proof of vandals destroying the pool. And she issued several arrest warrants, including one felony indictment against David Hearn, a 67-year-old, three-time U.S. Olympian. Well, if you missed the most recent developments, that's not by accident. A major announcement was made on Friday afternoon, which is when you release a story that you don't want anyone to see. On Friday, July 31st, the Department of Justice filed a motion to dismiss charges against Mr. Hearn, concluding the damage observed was, quote, the result of flawed installation by the contractor, coupled with the rush to complete the project prior to events associated with the America 250 celebration. So, with this action and admission, should Mr. Hearn be expecting an apology from the administration? Will the president admit he was mistaken? Oh, no. Just the opposite. The president continues to insist it was vandalism and is now blaming Ms. Pirro for, quote, folding like an umbrella to the judge. Now, you're not really surprised, are you? This president never accepts blame, never admits a mistake, and always blames someone else. And the scariest part? There was a real possibility that an innocent man could have been imprisoned just to avoid embarrassment for the president. Well, while Mr. Hearn may not hear from the White House, the administration should definitely expect to hear from Mr. Hearn. He will assuredly be filing lawsuits. Hey, how about some good news? For the past few months, there has been much reporting on artificial intelligence, or AI, and how it is killing new job opportunities and replacing existing workers. It seemed like major employers treated hiring as an expensive last resort. But now, a shift is emerging across industries. Specifically, companies ranging from railroad giant CSX to Google parent Alphabet have told investors in recent days that they plan to hire to meet growth goals or to seize on emerging technologies. In recent months, major employers had largely held back on adding people due to economic uncertainties or a belief that artificial intelligence could shoulder more tasks on the job. But some executives say the cost and limitations of AI now demand that more people be added, and others want to actually hire back people following layoffs. As predicted here on The Ruthless Truth, and by many others, companies are slowly realizing there are limitations to AI. Many companies had stopped hiring entry-level employees thinking AI agents could pick up the slack. And for much of the past 18 months, big employers were convinced fewer workers meant faster growth. But now, layoffs are shrinking. The most recent week of U.S. jobless claims was the lowest on record since 1969, according to federal data. One industry observer noted, quote, what you have now is a realization that you need the AI native skills. You need this entry-level workforce, which is innovative and not calcified in thought. They're also more affordable because they're newer to the workforce. Now, don't get me wrong. AI will continue to have significant impact on the workforce going forward. There will clearly be jobs and roles that will be reduced or eliminated. But let's not overreact and panic. There will always be a need for humans and human traits that machines just cannot replace. Okay, let's get to today's truth. Today's truth. In episode 20 of The Ruthless Truth, I took a hot take that I am still hearing about to this day. And all I said, or at least I thought it was all I said, was that a home is not an investment, but simply a place to live. Now, I acknowledged that there are several good reasons for desiring home ownership, but just that investing should not be one of them. Well, I have no intention revisiting that debate today. No, I want to speak to people who are seeking or considering making a home purchase, regardless of your reason. So in today's truth, I just want to address two simple questions. Is it a good time to buy a house? And is it worth it? Additionally, I'll speak to current homeowners who may feel trapped in their home. Okay, let's first level set on the state of the housing market. Mortgage rates are consistently and stubbornly high, with the average 30-year rate at approximately 6.7%. And this really hasn't fluctuated much in 2026. And while this rate is considerably lower than the peak rates of 8% we saw in 2023, it's still slightly higher than this time last year. Now, housing economists don't expect much relief in the coming months. According to Fannie Mae's May forecast, rates will stay above 6.3% for the rest of 2026, and the Mortgage Bankers Association's outlook calls for the rates at 6.5% in the back of 2026. Okay, that's mortgage. The next factor is housing inventory. And there's actually some good news here. We are seeing some increases in housing inventory while the number of buyers has remained flat. Also, homes are taking longer to sell, evidenced by a rise in the average number of days on the market. But there are significant regional differences. 55% of all U.S. inventory is in the South, although available homes are slightly down. The West even saw greater decreases in inventory, while inventory is up in the Midwest and the Northeast. Which leads to factor number 3, home prices. Normally, the inventory situation I just described would result in lower prices. And we are seeing some decreases in the South and the West. But home prices, for the most part, are holding steady. Okay, that's the state of the world. So back to the question. Is it a good time to buy a house? Well, here's my take. The decision to buy a house is like the decision to start a family. If you're waiting for the perfect time, it'll never happen. Now, of course, some times are better than others, but if you want a house now, you should go for it. But if you do choose to jump in, here are some factors to consider to help ensure you get the best possible outcome. Forbes magazine recently published an in-depth look at the U.S. housing market. And in the article, Hannah Jones, a senior economic research analyst at Realtor.com, offers the following expert advice to aspiring buyers. Okay, first, know your budget. Instead of focusing on price, figure out how much you can afford as a monthly payment. Your monthly housing payment is influenced by the price of the home, your down payment, the mortgage rate, home insurance, and property taxes. Okay? Second, be flexible about the home size and location. You know, I've said many times that you can't have it all, that life is about priorities and trade-offs. Perhaps your budget is sufficient for a small home in your perfect neighborhood or a larger, newer home further out. Understanding your priorities and having some flexibility can help you move quickly when a suitable home enters the market. Next, keep an eye on the market where you hope to buy. Determine the area's available inventory and price levels. Also, pay attention to how quickly homes sell. Not only will you be tuned in when something great hits the market, but you can also feel more confident moving forward with purchasing a well-priced home. A good real estate agent can help you do this. And finally, don't be discouraged. Purchasing a home is one of the largest financial decisions you'll ever make. Approaching the market confidently, armed with good information and grounded expectations will take you far. And don't let the hustle of the market convince you to buy something that's not in your budget or not right for your lifestyle. Okay, now let me speak to current homeowners who are sitting on a lot of home equity but feel trapped and unable to sell. You may be thinking about getting a home equity line of credit, commonly called a HELOC. And this is a revolving line of credit that lets you borrow against the equity in your home using the property as collateral. It works like a credit card, allowing you to continuously borrow up to a certain amount instead of taking out a lump sum like you would with other types of loans. But unlike a credit card, you cannot pay off the balance and pay no interest, as the interest rate starts on the amount you use as soon as you draw funds. So, is this a good option? Well, it depends on how you intend to spend the money. When mortgage rates are high, HELOCs can be a smarter way to access home improvement funds since refinancing rates are usually unfavorable. In addition, using HELOC money for home improvements may make the interest you pay on a HELOC tax deductible. Other common homeowner uses for HELOCs are to pay education expenses for themselves or their children, or as a supplement to their retirement plan to ensure ongoing access to capital. However, if you are considering a HELOC for debt consolidation, you might want to think twice about that decision. And here's why. You're trading unsecured debt for secured debt. Now, unsecured debt is not tied to any assets or collateral. So if you're unable to make payments, the lenders have limited recourse against you. That's why interest rates for unsecured debt, like credit cards, carry much higher interest rates because they're riskier. But secured debt, like a car loan or a mortgage, provide lenders with more recourse in case of default. They can repossess your car or foreclose on your home to generate funds to pay off your debt. So if you transfer your credit card debt to a HELOC, your home is now at risk, as the bank can now seize your home should you default on payments. That's pretty risky. So to summarize, the housing market has been unfavorable for years now, and it doesn't appear things will significantly improve anytime soon. And given current economic conditions, it's likely the Fed will soon raise interest rates, which will result in even higher mortgage rates than we have today. And it looks like any positive changes in home inventory will be slow to come. So, it may be time to give up on waiting it out and just make the best of the situation we have. Okay, let's get to today's American History Fun Fact. Today's American History Fun Fact. I want to tell the story of one of America's first female teen pop stars. Now, I wasn't sure if I wanted to focus on the artist or her iconic and groundbreaking single, but I decided to tell her story, but will definitely address the music. Okay, Leslie Sue Goldstein was born May 2nd, 1946 in New York City. Not long after her birth, the family changed their surname to Gore, which at the time was not an uncommon practice for Jewish families wanting less ethnic identifiable names. In 1963, when she was just 16 years old, Leslie's uncle submitted a tape of her singing to Mercury Records. The demo tape eventually fell into the hands of a 30-year-old producer named Quincy Jones, who immediately recognized her talent. And in April 1963, Leslie Gore released her first single entitled It's My Party. And the high school junior soon had the #1 song in the country. Now, in December of 1963, she released the single You Don't Own Me. And while Gore would register a string of chart hits over the next few years, this song was Gore's second most successful recording and her last top 10 single. The song was prominent at the time of its release in 1963, as it symbolized women's empowerment, showing the strength of a woman capable of standing up for herself against a man. Some of the key lyrics: you don't own me. Don't try to change me in any way. You don't own me. Don't tie me down, 'cause I'd never stay. Additional lyrics: I'm young and I love to be young, and I'm free and I love to be free, to live my life the way I want, to say and do whatever I please. Now you got to understand, this is 1963. Women didn't talk or sing this way, and it was especially shocking to hear it from a 17-year-old high school student. The song expresses emancipation as the singer tells a lover that he cannot objectify her. She doesn't want to be held to his hypocritical gender standards, such as not being able to see other men when he sees other women. The song's lyrics became an inspiration for younger women and are sometimes cited as a factor in the development of the second wave feminist movement. After her phenomenal success in 1963, Leslie Gore enjoyed continued commercial success for the remainder of the decade. She was one of the featured performers in the Tammy Show concert film, which was recorded and released in 1964 and placed in the National Film Registry in 2006. She even appeared and performed on 2 consecutive episodes of the Batman television series in 1967, in which she guest starred as Pussycat, one of Catwoman's minions. Now, throughout this time, Gore was attending college, and in 1968, she graduated from Sarah Lawrence College. Now, that same year, she signed a 5-year contract with Mercury Records. However, neither party was really happy with the outcome. None of her recordings achieved major chart success, and in later years of the contract, Gore recorded a couple of soul songs that didn't fit with the image Mercury had in mind for her. So the end of that contract basically coincided with the end of Leslie Gore's recording career. Now, beginning in 2003, Gore hosted several editions of the PBS television series In the Life, which focused on LGBT issues. Try to say that twice. In a 2000 interview, she stated she was a lesbian and had been in a relationship with luxury jewelry designer Lois Sassoon since 1982. Gore had realized she was attracted to women by the time she was 20 years old and stated that although the music business was, quote, totally homophobic, end quote, she never felt she had to pretend she was straight. Leslie Gore died of lung cancer on February 16, 2015 at the age of 68. So, what is the legacy of Leslie Gore? Well, her obituary in the New York Times offered a pretty good summary. Quote, with songs like It's My Party, Judy's Turn to Cry, and the indelibly defiant 1964 single You Don't Own Me, all recorded before she was 18, Gore made herself the voice of teenage girls aggrieved by fickle boyfriends, moving quickly from tearful self-pity to fierce self-assertion. Pretty good legacy. All right. That's all I have for you today on The Ruthless Truth. Thank you so much for listening. Again, follow me on Instagram at TruthDavis5. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Ruthless Truth. And there's also a Facebook page, Ruthless Truth. And I encourage all of you to listen to past episodes. They cover a wide range of topics. I'm sure you'll find something helpful to you. Thanks again, and I'll talk to all of you soon.